Who am I? Who are we? What is a human being? Am I created by a loving God in His image with inherent dignity and worth and God-given rights? Am I a highly evolved animal, a product of a purposeless process of evolution? Or am I defined primarily by my skin color or my sex or my gender identity?
What about the kids who feel different inside and maybe they were born looking one way but they feel another way? Those kids don't have the right to explore that or be who they are?
Or am I a sovereign, autonomous being that's free to determine my true, authentic self without regards to God or the Bible or even my bodily anatomy? Am I a complex biological machine? Who am I? There's no more important question than this. Your answer to this question will do more to shape your life and your society, for better or for worse, than any other. Words are precious conveyors of reality. They not only shape the way that we think, but they determine our choices and our actions. They shape the kind of cultures that we live in. If you want to change society, you begin by changing language. Our adversary knows this all too well. In recent decades, a strategic redefining of many critical words has led to dramatic changes in our culture for the worse. People have absorbed these false redefinitions uncritically, including many Christians, and in doing so, they've become unwitting agents in advancing non-Christian systems of belief that are tearing our nation apart. This is a disaster for the church and for the society. To turn things around, we have to recover the true biblical definitions of at least 10 key critical words. One of these is the word human. What does it mean to be human? The answer to this question will shape the kind of culture that we live in more than any other. The Bible answers it this way: you and me and everyone else are physical and spiritual beings created by God in His image, male and female. We possess intrinsic dignity, incalculable worth, and unalienable rights to life and liberty. Though we bear God's image, we're not morally perfect as God is, nor are we all-knowing or all-powerful. However, we do possess uniquely godlike capabilities that other creatures do not. Things like agency, freedom, creativity, and the capacity to love. Like God, we're deeply relational beings. We're created for an intimate relationship with God and for loving relationships with one another. God also created us with authority and dominion to carefully steward His magnificent creation, and we're accountable to Him for how we carry out that task. Part of that task involves our work in creation. We are made to work and to create, to take the things that God has made and to create beautiful landscapes and buildings, music, literature, families, cities, entire civilizations. God gave us the amazing ability to leave this world better and more prosperous than we found it. But we're also fallen beings. We're inclined to do what's wrong, to shade the truth, to steal, to cheat, all for selfish reasons. God endowed us with the freedom to walk with Him in love, or to turn our backs and reject Him and go our own way. Our very first forefather, Adam, chose the path of rebellion. And with that fateful choice, he became alienated from God and then also from other humans and even from creation itself. This separation from God and all of the broken relationships that came with it is why this world is so broken. It's the reason for all the wars and violence and destruction and all the heartbreak that we experience. This very same brokenness and alienation was passed on to all of Adam's descendants, to every member of the human race. We still possess God's image in our fallen condition, but now it's distorted. We still have the capacity to love, but now we love idols, or we love things more than God, or ourselves more than others. We still have the capacity to create. But now, we create atomic weapons and systems of oppression and enslavement. Yet, amazingly, because of His great love for us, God didn't abandon us in our fallen rebellious condition. He came after us, offering us forgiveness and reconciliation through His Son, Jesus Christ. Our relationship with God is restored when we accept God's free gift of forgiveness through faith in Jesus. And when we do, we're adopted into His family, and we experience healing in all of our broken relationships, and we become who we were originally created to be, fully human. Whenever this true definition of what it means to be human takes root in a culture, it transforms it. It leads to many social benefits. It leads to human life being cherished and protected, all the way from conception through natural death. It can lead to the abolition of slavery and human trafficking. It can lead to the formation of free nations where every individual's God-given rights are recognized and protected, regardless of their age or sex or skin color. It can lead to the care and the protection of the weak and the vulnerable, including children and the impoverished. It recognizes and respects the equal dignity and rights of girls and women. It leads to people treating one another with love and integrity and mercy, compassion and forgiveness. Tragically, this true understanding of what it means to be human has been replaced by a variety of false redefinitions. Perhaps the most widely accepted redefinition has its roots in Darwinism and materialism. In this view, people are nothing more than highly evolved animals, merely biochemical machines with no inherent dignity or worth and no God-given rights. Another newer view, rooted in postmodernism, sees humans as autonomous, self-determining creatures, people that determine what is true and good without regard to God or the Bible or even their own biology. The combination of the Darwinian and postmodern views is what's behind gender identity. Your body is nothing more than a purposeless piece of matter, and your sex has no correspondence with either your biology or your anatomy. As an autonomous, self-determining creature, you choose your gender, and there's no limits or boundaries on that choice. And yet another false view of the human person we see today has its roots in cultural Marxism. In this view, human beings are sociologically determined creatures. We're the products of the groups that we belong to, specifically groups based on our sex, or our gender identity, or our skin color. In this view, the person as an individual disappears. Everything that's important about you or me is determined by the group that we belong to. This view reduces individual people merely to mouthpieces for their identity groups. Now, these are very different definitions, and they lead to very different outcomes, very different forms of society. The Darwinian and the postmodern views give rise to a culture of death, a culture of abortion on demand, of sex selection abortion, and even child sacrifice and the mutilation of human bodies. Human life is viewed as little more than disposable trash. The cultural Marxist view gives rise to social fragmentation and conflict. For if I'm nothing more than the product of my identity group, is it even possible to communicate or to relate to people that are in different groups? The answer is no. And as a result, society fragments into warring tribes who view each other with suspicion and resentment and contempt. The postmodern view gives rise to tyranny. For if I define reality, well then what happens when my view conflicts with your view? Ultimately, those with the most power compel others to submit to their view. So, what kind of society do you want to live in? Words matter. They are powerful. All genuine societal change, for better or for worse, begins with a change of language and definitions. God reveals the true definition of words like human in His Word, the Bible. These definitions aren't just true for Christians, they're true for everyone. But unless we as Christians know these true definitions and build our lives on them, unless we defend these true definitions in the public square, then our societies will be built on false, counterfeit definitions, and we will reap the terrible consequences. Do you want to uphold and defend the truth about what it means to be human? We can help.